the previous videos, we mentioned about strategies of analyzing results. We know that the investigation process is normally driven by the purpose or the objective of the study. After you've gone through the investigation program, you will acquire the data, which through processing and analyzing, you will acquire the results. Normally, the result and data needs to be verified and validated before you can proceed with your interpretations and discussions on the subject that you are studying. It was also mentioned that your work should not stop here. You will need to elevate further, dig deeper into the things that you are studying, and you know that your ultimate purpose is to study something which is in the reality, instead of focusing on your investigation program as well as what happening within your specimens. Therefore, you will need to elevate it to the level of the reality that you are studying using various methods so that you gain better understanding on the topic of your research. Not only that, you will need to extract the value out of what you have acquired from your investigations, and you need to make sure it meets the purpose of your research study. We did mention about a term which is the Bloom's taxonomy. It was mentioned that for a typical postgraduate study, we are looking at the higher thinking order, which is to the level 5 and 6. That require a certain degree of critical thinking in order to come up with your output of your research study. This is important because this will govern the depth of your study. Since that we have mentioned about the Bloom's taxonomy, what it is actually, it is an taxonomy of educational objective proposed by a person called Bloom's. And this taxonomy reflects the level of cognitive complexity that a person needs to go through in order to learn something. In fact, this Bloom's taxonomy is applicable to 3 main domains, which include the cognitive. The cognitive is related to the development of intellectual skill, the psychomotor, which is related to the physical movement, coordinations, motor skills areas, as well as the affective, which is normally deal with emotions, feelings, values, and attitudes. There is a quite established theories and principles regarding this Bloom's taxonomy. We shall not go deeper into this. As for your research study, it is more towards the cognitive, which is the development of intellectual skills. Therefore, we will discuss briefly on this. We mentioned that there will be 6 levels of cognitive Bloom's taxonomy, starting from level 1 to level 6. It is actually reflecting the levels of thinking order that you need to go through in order to acquire some knowledge at the intellectual level. The level 1 will be the simplest, while the level 6 it will be the most challenging. The levels of Bloom's taxonomy for the cognitive domains are given here. Level 1, remembering. Level 2, understanding. Level 3, applying. Level 4, analyzing. Level 5, evaluating. And level 6, creating. These descriptions give you a clear idea, which is rather explicit, the level of thinking order that you use in conducting your research. Level 1 only involves remembering. That means you only need to recall the facts without necessarily understanding them, which you require a higher thinking order, which is level 2, for you to understand it. This is where you understand and interpret the learned informations. And then the taxonomy level increase to the level 3 when you are able to apply certain things. That will be using the methods, concepts, principles, theories in new situations. And then now you have done the applications. You adopt certain methodology to carry out your research. You acquire the data, then you will need to analyze it. And this is level 4, which you're going to identify how parts related to each other to a larger structures or purpose. The analyzing will involve the tasks of finding the similarity or distinguish the differences, doing some categorizations, restructures or rearrange certain things, and so on and so forth. It is more like diagnosing or try to acquire the background informations as represented by the data that you have obtained from your investigation program. And based on my personal experience with the students, many students stop at this level without proceeding further to higher thinking orders. You know that postgraduate study is not just a lab test, conducting testing on some specimens, acquiring data, and then you interpret and discuss, and you know that it should not stop here. Therefore, you will have to break through this, going to the level 5, such as evaluating, which you can judge the value of something based on the criteria, processes, or standards. The tasks associated with the evaluations, it will include the assess, conclude, evaluate, interpret, justify, or prove. And then you should also go to the highest level, which is creating, where you're going to generate a coherent functional whole, recognize new patterns. The tasks associated include synthesize, construct, design, develop, generate, plan, propose, and etc. What you see here from the Bloom's taxonomy as implied by the definitions, you know that these two levels will require a certain degree of judgment and critical thinking. And those judgments normally will come from some justified source. There must be reasons for you to judge this or judge that, which are based on some criteria, processes, or standards. And to the level 6 creating, this involves some degree of design, and then it is not just merely developing something or designing something. The whole thing must be functional, which is the outcome of serious synthesizing of first principles of different fields of sources. This could only be acquired when you have sufficient understanding of something, plus your creativity and critical thinking skills, which may also involve applications of various methods, concepts, and principles. And in order to make it functional or achieving its purposes, there could be a numberless trial and error, which during this trial and error that involve evaluating for you to know whether it reached to the expectations, standards, or the requirement. What you see here, the relationship between the Bloom's taxonomy. For you to achieve the highest level, level 6, you will have to go through everything from level 1 to level 6. They are interrelated, and the lower level will be the foundations to the next level. You know, postgraduate studies, such as masters and PhDs, in the education system, the emphasis it will be the intellectual level, the ability of the students to learn and to synthesize knowledge. Therefore, it is nearly inevitable for you to reach to the level 6 if you want to graduate your postgraduate study. The depth of the study will be the main reason that you have acquired your degree. And one more thing that you should know about this, I would say that all your supervisor, which is from the field of educations, that means all the academia, they know about the Bloom's taxonomy. They are well trained to observe the student's product to judge whether the students has reached to the highest levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Only that most of our students are not familiar with this. Now that you have briefly been introduced with this, remember yourself. You will need to at least reach to level 5 and level 6, which will require critical thinking, strong fundamentals of the understanding, good synthesizing of different concepts, principles, and theories, and then you will need to develop something which is workable, reflecting good understanding and good applications of something, and meeting the requirements and criteria to fit the need of the purpose. Therefore, whenever you design your research, and also whenever you want to analyze your result, make sure you reach to that level 5 and level 6 of the Bloom's taxonomy.